Welcome to the Marcus Maths YouTube channel. Odds are that if you're seeing this, you are getting some last minute prep in for the SAT. Now, how we're going to go over this video. This is the entirety of all the different principles, all the different ideas that you're going to see in the SAT math section. We have 30 questions to go over. There are 44 questions in the test, but this should cover every single topic, every single skill, and I'll be walking you guys through it. Let's go ahead and get started. If you don't know me already, I've scored a 790 on the math section and a 780 on the reading section. My high score is at 1570 on the SAT. Now, let's go ahead and get started with this first question right here. So the only things that we have to notice is this first equation right here, and which of the following correctly expresses the principal amount in terms of all of the rest of this stuff. So we're going principal amount stands for P. As we can see here, principal initial amount invested is P, and we can see it in all the answers. In every single answer, the P is isolated. So that's what we're going to be doing in this question. We're going to get the P by itself. Notice we have two P's, so the only way that we can actually go from two P's to one P is that we're going to have to factor the P term out from both of these, meaning the opposite of distributive property. Notice we can create two terms where P is multiplying with each of them to get into this format. So the strategy is we're going to divide P out of each of the terms on the right side. Now we're going to have P outside the parentheses. P divided by P is 1. PRT divided by P is just RT. So we are left with 1 plus RT times P is equal to F, like this. Now that we only have one P, we can isolate this singular P. What is happening to the P? It's being multiplied by this parentheses right here, 1 plus RT. So if something is getting multiplied, to get rid of it, to move it to the other side of the equation, we are simply going to divide by 1 plus RT on each side. So they're going to cancel out, and we are left with P is equal to F divided by 1 plus RT. So this factoring concept was very important for this question. Answer choice A is correct. Okay, on to the next question. After a 3-month-long motorized scooter program, City A randomly surveyed residents on their feelings of the scooters. Out of the 276 residents surveyed, 50 have positive feelings towards the scooters. Based on the survey's results, approximately how many of the 500,000 residents do not have positive feelings towards the scooters? So first, if 50 had positive feelings out of 276, that means 226 out of 276 had not positive feelings towards the scooters. So we're simply going to set this 226 over 276 equal to x over 500. We're just going to pretend all these numbers are thousands. We're going to multiply. We would have hypothetically multiplied these two terms by 0, 0, and have this equal to 500,000. 500,000 like this. This would all be equivalent because those zeros just cancel out. So to make it easier, we're just going to pretend that everything is in the thousands. We're going to multiply 226 by 500 and then divide that answer by 276. We can use our calculator here, which is our Desmos calculator. We can simply do 226 times 500, that butterfly method of multiplication. And then we will divide the product, 113,000 by 276. Divided by 276 is equal to 409, but more specifically 409,000, because of course we simplified all of our units to not include the thousands to include it back in the end. Okay, on to question number 3. Which of the following expressions is equivalent to the given expression? Okay, how we're going to solve this is, if you remember, we have two fractions. If they're subtracting, to combine these, we simply have to do fraction subtraction. And if you remember, we need a common denominator. Our denominators right now are 2b and 6b. The least common denominator is 6b. So all we have to do is multiply the first fraction by 3 in order to get both the denominators equal to 6b. So our first fraction turns into 9x over 6b minus 5x over 6b. And now that we have common denominators, we can simply subtract and leave our denominators the same. So we subtract our numerators. 9x minus 5x is 4x. And then our denominator is 6b. Now from here, we are simply going to simplify this fraction. 4x over 6b. Notice 4 over 6, we can both divide by 2. So we're going to divide the numerator by 2. We're going to get 2x. We're going to divide the denominator by 2. We're going to be left with 3b. And we cannot simplify past this. Our expression is equal to 2x over 3b, or answer choice D. Okay, polynomial function is defined as this, which of the following is a 0 of the function f. If you don't know already, each of these parentheses we can set equal to 0, and then that answer will be a x-intercept or a 0 of the function. So we're going to set each of these equal to 0 and find our 3 zeros, or our 3 x-intercepts for the equation. This first parentheses, we set it equal to 0, we move over the 3, it's -3, we divide by 5, we're left with x is equal to -3 over 5. This is not an answer choice, so we're going to move to the next one. We have x plus 2 is equal to 0. We always have to set these factors equal to 0. Then we're going to subtract 2 from each side to get the x by itself. We get x is equal to -2. This is indeed correct. And so our answer is answer choice B, -2. As our last parentheses would simply be +1 over 7, and that is not an answer choice. Okay, moving on to the next one, we have the vertex form of a quadratic function. Highly recommend that you refresh on maybe like a reference sheet for Algebra 1. If you search at reference sheet Algebra 1, you'll get all the formulas. Reference sheet for 8th grade, as those formulas are kind of shown on the SAT, but not on the SAT reference sheet, which only pretty much gives us geometry stuff. Okay, so we have the vertex form of a quadratic formula here. At what values does this function intersect the x-axis? Well, on the SAT, when in doubt, just plug it into Desmos. So we're going to substitute this whole function into Desmos. We could solve this arithmetically, but it's just not worth it. So we're going to press y equals exactly as it shows. So we replace the f of x with y, but we have this, minus 16. So we can see this function here. We have 2 zeros. We have 2 x-intercepts. So we have one of 8 and one at 0. So we just say x is equal to 8, x is equal to 0. Okay. Moving on to this next question. Stephen found that between 2012 and 2020, as the country's per capita chicken egg consumption increased, the country's divorce rate decreased. Based on this information, which of the following conclusions is valid? Eating eggs prevents divorcees. That is not correct, because this would be causation, not a point. Divorces lead to a decrease. Once again, causation. Correlation does not equal causation. Very important statistical conclusion there. There is a positive association, as we see when one increase, the other decrease. Positive is when both increase or both decrease. So C is incorrect. Then there's a negative association. That is true. As one increases, the other one decreases. So D is the correct answer here. Okay, moving on to the next one. We have a circle equation. And when in doubt, just plug it all into Desmos. So we're going to do the exact thing here. X squared plus y squared. Maybe it will allow to graph circles, maybe not. 14y minus 51 equals 0. And it does allow us to graph circles. Now, all we have to do here is substitute in each of these points. Parentheses 51, 14. We can see that's not the center. We don't even see it. If we zoomed out, we'd see it all the way over there. Now we move to our next one. 7, 10. 7, 10. That is not the center. And now we're going to go 0, 7. So parentheses 0, 7. We can see that that does indeed represent the center of the circle. So answer choice D is correct. Okay, a rectangular prism and cube have equal volumes. The length of a rectangular prism is 12 centimeters and its width is 8. If the side of the cube is 12 centimeters, what is the height of the rectangular prism? So we need to know that the formula for the volume of a rectangular prism is length times width times height. Formula for volume of a cube is s squared. S to the power 3, my bad. So it says they're equal, so we're going to set them equal to each other. We're going to substitute in all of these variables. Length of a rectangular prism is 12, so we have 12. And then we have width, which is 8. We have, of course, missing the height. But then we have that equal to 12 to the power of 3. Okay, first step, we're going to divide 12 on each side. So we're left with 8h is equal to 12 squared. We know that 12 squared is 144. And then we simply divide 144 by 8. That is equal to 18. So our final answer for the height of the rectangular prism, it is simply 18. And you could double check, substitute it in, check that both sides of the equation are equal, but we're not going to do that here. Okay, in a circle with a center C and a radius of 50 meters, a central angle of x intercepts an arc of 50 pi meters as shown. What is the value of x? Okay, as we can see, this is drawn to scale, and x is exactly half of the circle. So all we have to do is simply say that x is equal to 180, as it is half of the circle. We could verify this. I'll show it really quickly. Radius, and then we can see this represents half of the circumference. So all we have to do here is, okay, circumference formula for a circle is 2 pi r. If we're taking half of it, it's equal to pi r. We know that the radius is equal to 50. And we know that. And if we know that the radius is 50, we can simply replace the r with 50. And we're left that the angle, that the arc measurement is 50 pi. So 180 degrees is indeed the correct answer here. Okay, the scatter plot shows the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in New York City each year between 2000 and 2013. Which of the following is the best estimate for the average change in rent each year? Average change, they're asking for the slope. So we're looking, what is the slope? Best way to define the slope is to take the first and the last point and then do rise over run between them. So we're not going to use that last point. We're going to use the second to last, as it kind of follows the trend of the line better. We see this one is 0,800, and this one is, if we count up by 50 each time, it is about 1250, 1275, 12. So 1275 minus 800 is 45. And then we just do, in our Desmos, 475 divided by 12. We get 39. So our change in rent is going to be about $40 each year. Most important part is to notice that the scales are different. Our x-axis has a scale of 1. Our y-axis has a scale of 50. Moving on to our next question, we're setting up a systems of inequality. So we're going to be looking for keywords to determine what inequality signs we're going to be using. You can spend at most. At most, we need to know that that is less than or equal to 30. So we know that one of our inequality signs is less than or equal to 30. That means that D is incorrect and B is incorrect. And now fake mustaches cost $3 each. Party hats $2 each. We must purchase a combination of at least 15. Both answer choices should say that at least is greater than or equal to, so we're not going to be able to eliminate based off of that. Which of the following means number of mustaches? 3, so that means 3 has to go with the M, and then party hats describe P has to go with the 2. 3 goes with the M, 2 goes with the P. That happens with both of these. Now we have to determine basically how we're going to work this out. Dollars should all go in the same inequality. So 2, 3, and 30 should all be on the same inequality. And then regular units, and then the total of 15 of the regular units should be in the other equation. That only matches answer choice A. So that is correct. Okay, moving on to the next. We're going to be setting up. We're going to be setting up a systems of equations, unlike the previous one that we set up as systems of inequalities. So bluegrass costs $2 a pound, so we'll say 2B. And drought-resistant seed, we'll call that S. It costs $3 a pound, so we have 3S. 2B plus 3S. If on a particular day the two types of grass seed total $68, all dollars become one equation, and together weighed 25 pounds, so B plus S equals 25. How many pounds of bluegrass seed? So we're looking for B. Okay, so how we're going to solve this, we're going to set B is equal to X. We're going to say that S is equal to Y, and all we're going to do is substitute both equations into Desmos. Very easy. We don't have to solve this arithmetically. So we're going to say 2x plus 3y equal to 68, and then our next equation is x plus y equals 25, and we look for the x value because we're looking for the B. X value of the intersection between the two lines is 7. So how many pounds of bluegrass seed should he prepare? 7. Okay, on to the next. If x1, y1 and x2, y2 are two distinct solutions to the systems of equations as shown, what is the product of the x values as the two solutions, x1 times x2? When in doubt, substitute into Desmos. So that's what we're going to do here. First equation is negative 2 minus x equal to that y squared minus minus 4y plus 10 over 11. So that's one of our equations. Our second one is negative 11x plus 3y equal to 62. Just remember, every single question on the math section now has Desmos available. This exact Desmos, the SAT version. So we can see that there are two distinct solutions. We're going to take the two x values, negative 4 and negative 5. We're going to multiply them with each other. That's equal to positive 28. So the product is positive 28. Okay, the old road length, L in meters, and T hours of milling is given by the equation. How many meters of old road are removed for each hour of milling? How many meters removed for each hour? It's looking for the slope. What is the slope? It's the value that's next to the variable, or 42. Removing is why it's being subtracted. So 42 is the answer here. Very simple. Okay, on to the next. Consider the systems of equations where a is a constant. For what value of a are there no solutions? So in order for a function to have no solutions, the slopes need to be the same and the y-intercepts need to be different. The only a value where we have two slopes that stay the same as 2x and the two y-intercepts are different is a is equal to 1. So the value is 1. We could double check by substituting it in. And then substituting back into Desmos, and then double checking that the two lines are parallel. So when a is equal to 1, our first equation is y equals 2x plus 1. And our second equation is y equals 2x plus 2. Yep. And as you can see, a solution is where there's an intersection, and these lines have no intersection. So when a is equal to 1, we do indeed have no solutions. Let's say if we put 2, for example, we can see, okay, we start to have solutions. So the only applicable answer is 1. Okay, on to this next question. One cookbook recommends that a person can substitute 1 tablespoon of dried mint leaves for a quarter cup of fresh mint leaves. The salad calls for 2 tablespoons of fresh mint leaves. How many tablespoons of dried mint leaves could a person substitute into the recipe? Okay, first step is to convert a quarter cup into tablespoons. And as we can see here, if there's 16 tablespoons in 1 cup, there will be 4 tablespoons in a quarter cup. So we're going to change this into 4 tablespoons of fresh mint leaves. So as we can see, 1 tablespoon of dried mint leaves turns into 4 tablespoons of fresh mint leaves. And if we have 2 tablespoons of fresh mint leaves to go to the 2 tablespoons of dried mint leaves, we're going to, from here, we multiplied by 4, so go in the opposite direction, we're going to divide by 4. 2 divided by 4 is 0.5, so we're going to substitute in 0.5 dried mint leaves. Okay, on to the next. The graph shown could represent which of the following equations. First, to note that this is a cubic function, so our x variable, so we're going to have 3 distinct b's here. Now, next step, simply substitute into Desmos. I know it's the easiest way to do it, especially if you're last minute studying. Just substitute into Desmos when in doubt. Now, it's very important we don't use h and b. We're going to use h as y and b as x. So our first step, we're going to do y equals our first equation. Actually, I'll show you guys a really easy way to do this. We could go off the intercepts first and then substitute in the 2, because this will help eliminate some answers instead of guessing and checking each of the 4. We could set each of the factors equal to 0. We're just going to switch the values to find the x-intercepts. Our x-intercepts for the first one are 10, 20, and negative 20. Negative 20, 10, and 20, so this is going to stay in. This next one is 10, 20, and negative 20. It's going to stay in. This one is negative 10. We don't have that as a solution, so C is eliminated. This one's negative 10. Don't have that as a solution. D is eliminated. So we know we're just narrowing down between A and B when we're solving. They're the same apart from A has a negative sign in front of it. So we're going to start with negative x minus 10. As in the first parentheses, our second one is x minus 20. And then our third one is x plus 20. Okay, we're going to adjust our axes. So as we can go here, and we can adjust our y-axis to go from 10,000 to negative 10,000. So y-axis goes from negative 10,000, 0, 0, 0, to positive 10,000, 10, 0, 0, 0. And then our step is, I believe, here it was 1,000. So we're going to set our step as 1,000. 10,000. No, 1,000. And as we can see, we get a clear graph shape here. It seems to match. When we remove the negative sign, it switches, and that does not match. So our correct answer choice here is A. Okay, what is the solution to the given equation? All we have to do is use Desmos. There's no point even solving these. So we do square root of x is equal to the square root of 3x's inside that square root. And then we're going to have to readjust our graph here to negative 18, positive 18. Okay, we're taking a look. When do these have a solution? When do they intersect? They seem to not intersect at all, but maybe 0. Yep, they intersect at 0. So the solution is 0, and as we can double check, square root of 0 is 0. Square root of 3 times 0, 3 times 0 is 0. Square root of 0 is 0, so 0 is the solution. Okay, moving on to the next, which of the following radian measures is equal to 315 degrees? We could use the formula sheet, the SAT reference sheet for this one, but I'll just show us how to do this. Whenever we're converting from degrees to radians, we need to introduce the pi term. So pi in our conversion factor is going to be in the numerator when we multiply. If we're converting from radians to degrees, pi has to be in the denominator. So our conversion factor, by the way, is pi over 180. If we're going to radians, it's like this. If we're going to degrees, it's reciprocated, so 180 over pi. So all we have to do here is 315 times pi over 180, and then simplify the following fraction. So we're going to just simplify 315 over 180. First of all, we can divide by 5, so we're going to do 315 divided by 5. And then we know 80 divided by 5 is 16. So we have 63 over 16. That's 80. We have to do 180. And then we're going to do 180 divided by 5. 180 divided by 5 is 36. So we have 63 over 36. We can divide both these terms by 3. 63 divided by 3 is 21. 36 divided by 3 is 12. And now from here, we can divide both by 3 again. So we could have divided the last ones by 9. My bad. 4 and 7. So we left with 7 pi over 4. And that is the correct radians measure. So B is the correct answer with this one. Okay, how many solutions are there to the given equation? We can just set each of these parentheses equal to 0. We have 1. And then 1 gets an answer. Now we just always want to double check, especially with these. Just put it into Desmos. Alright, 1 minus x. We have to replace all of our other variables with x's so that it actually graphs. Remember, this is a coordinate plane with x and y axes. And then we're going to plus 3 parentheses 1 minus x parentheses squared equals 0. This will give us all of our solutions. And as we zoom in, indeed, we do have 2 solutions here. We have 1 and we have 1.3 or 4/3. So C is the correct answer here. Okay, what is the value of x in the figure? We just need to understand that 78 is the same as this angle right here. And then 55 is the same as this angle right here. As we can see, 55 shares both the 3.8 and the middle side. 55 shares both the 3.8 and the middle side. If it was if it was an angle over here with the 4.3, it would correspond to the opposite angle over here. So our answer to this one is simply just 55. Moving on, which of the following graphs represent this equation? When in doubt, Desmos it out. So x minus 0.6 equals negative 0.4y. Parentheses y minus 1.5. Okay, I'm going to take a look. Our scaling's a little bit off. Let's change it to 1s. Yeah. Okay. So let's take a look. It obviously mirrors answer choice B. Our y-intercepts at 3. And then our x-intercepts at like 1.33 or 1.2 in this case. So B is the correct answer. Okay, Jarvis is surveying his property to plan an addition. He determines that his driveway has an angle of inclination of 18 above the horizontal as seen in the diagram. He measures the length of the driveway to be 36 feet long. What is the difference in height y from the top of the driveway to the bottom? So we're just going to use a trigonometric function here. As we can see, opposite over hypotenuse is the one that we're going to set up, and we need to know that the opposite over hypotenuse trigonometric ratio is sine. So we can set up that the sine of 18 degrees is equal to opposite, which is y, over our hypotenuse, which is 36. So how we solve this, we multiply each side by 36, and we're simply going to set our calculator equal to degrees, not radians, and then we're going to do 36 times the sine of 18. So we're going to go here, set it to degrees in the tools. See, as we can see, it's currently set on radians. Most calculators default to radians, so we're going to do 36 times the sine of 18. We can see it's 11.1246. Rounded to the nearest foot is simply 11 feet. Moving on to our next question. Once again, when in doubt, Desmos it out. We can just type this whole thing into Desmos. So 2 over x squared minus 9. And then plus 1 over x squared plus 9x plus 18. We get this function right here. We're just going to type each of our answer choices in and see if it matches. So 3 over 2x squared plus 9x plus 9. So plus 9x plus 9. We see it doesn't match. A is incorrect. Now we're going to do 2x plus 13 in our numerator. And then x squared plus 9 plus 18 in our denominator. That doesn't match. Answer choice B is incorrect. Then we have 3 in our numerator over x squared plus 3x minus 18. We can see that that directly matches. Zoom out to double check. It does. As we can see, when we blank out this, we get the purple, and when we blank out the other one, we get the black. So answer choice C is a correct answer with this one. There's no need trying to get the same denominator, factor, etc. when we can simply substitute into Desmos and get the exact correct answer. Okay, a circle is graphed. Which of the following represents all the solutions to the systems of equations created by the equation of the graph and that linear equation? This one's a little bit too easy to not do here and do it in Desmos. We rearrange this to get y is equal. If we just get the y by itself, we'll be left with y is equal to x minus 3. So we simply graph minus 3 and then a slope of 1. So we're going to go up 1, across 1, up 1, across 1. Up 1 across 1, and we can see we get our first intersection there. And then for a second line, we draw the same thing right through, and we get a second intersection at like -4, -7. So our two intersections are 3, 0 and -4, -7. So answer choice D is the correct answer here. Okay, moving on to the next question. If A, B is the solution to the systems of equations, what is the minimum value of B? When in doubt, put it into Desmos. I'm pretty sure this allows inequalities. Let me double check. 3y is greater than or equal to, so we're going to have to go in the calculator, greater than or equal to 18x plus 6. It does. So, and then we have 20x plus y, 20x plus y greater than or equal to 210. And then for the minimum y value, when x is equal to 8, the lowest value that we can get that is a solution to both, given that these are both or equal to's, 50 is going to be the correct answer. Okay, on to the next one. Student population at University X consists of 63% undergrad and 37% grad. If 23% of the undergraduate students and 42% of the graduate students wear contacts, what percent of all students wear contacts? So first, we're going to take 23% out of the 63%. So we're going to do 0.63 times 0.23. Yep, times 0.23. So we can see 19% of all students wear contacts and are undergrad. And then we can do the same thing with the grad students. So 37.37 times 0.43, 0.42, my bad. So that means 15% of grad students, 15% of total students are graduate and have contacts. So we just simply add these two together now, and we get 554 4. 3463. The closest is 30% of all students. Yeah, as we can see here, we get approximation, so we don't have to worry too much about exact values. Oh, and I even got this wrong. I meant to put 6.3, and as you can see, we get even more exact. In fact, exactly exact. We could still estimate that that is roughly the case here. Just mistyped. Still got it correct. On to the next one. It travels at a speed of 431 kph. What is the speed in miles per hour? To go from kilometers to miles, you have to divide it by 1.61. So we're going to do 341 divided by 1.61. Or 431 divided by 1.61. My bad. 1.61. We get 267, which is equal to about 268. Okay, last two questions. What are our two x-intercepts? We simply set each factor equal to 0. We get 3, and we get -9. So we get C. And then we need to factor this. Factoring, we say what two numbers multiply to 24 and add to 11. Those are 8 and 3. So our two parentheses, not our two answers. Well, our two solutions, my bad, or two zeros. These are just our factors. If we wanted to find solutions, we would do like the last question, set them equal to 0. But regardless, we get B as the correct answer. And that is all 30 questions. Now, I'm going to be blatantly honest. We did not have the hardest questions on the SAT, because the last 2 or 3 questions on each section, especially the last 2 or 3 on the second section, will be reasonably more difficult than this. But if you follow this exact video, you should have enough information to get above a 700 on the math section, and that is a good start. Of course, if you have any extra questions, maybe you saw a practice question that is hard and you want me to work through it, leave it in the comments. Good luck on everyone who is testing on the SAT tomorrow, and have a good rest of your evening. Goodbye.